Hi guys, Assalamu alaikum. This is Arif. In this video, we are going to see how we can find the factorial of a number like an integer first in C++ and then in C sharp. So this is a C++ program first, in which here I have given the library name through which we are going to get some functions like cout, and here I have defined the other library name to get this underscore get ch function. And after that, in our main program, I am defining here the integer variables like n and fact. So fact is the variable where we are going to get the factorial of our number, this n number. And after that, we are saying here on the console window, we are going to print a message once we are going to run the program, that enter an integer. And after that, we are going to use this function from the standard library cin to take that value which we are going to read from the console window and put that into our variable n. After that, we are going to check that value inside the variable n, that for the factorial, the negative numbers don't have the factorial, so we are going to say the if statement, and we are going to check this condition if the number n is greater than 0 or less than 0. So if it is less than 0, we are going to print this message on the console window that the factorial doesn't exist. And after that, we are going to say the else condition, and we are going to say if n is equal to or greater than 0, then we are going to use this function which we have defined outside the main program, calculate our value, and then we are going to store that value inside this fact variable. And after that, we are going to not only show the number on the console window, but also our factorial of that number as well during this variable. And then we are going to, in order to make our console window stable so that it doesn't vanish during the running, we are going to use this underscore get ch function, or we can use this function as well. So this is pretty much our complete program. And now I am going to show you that function I have defined outside, which is going to calculate that. Now here we have defined our factorial function, which is of type int, and in this function we have defined a parameter of type integer, and we are going to take the value of our number, and we are going to use that inside our function using this for loop, and we are going to calculate that factorial of this number. And here we have defined another integer fact, and in this integer we are going to store the value of our calculated factorial. Using this for loop, we are going to calculate this factorial. This, using a loop procedure, is called the iterative method of doing something. And first we are going to use this iterative method to calculate our factorial. And once we are going to calculate this, we are going to, this is the formula we are going to use. We are going to just multiply this factorial variable by this value of I, which is going to increase until I is less than or equal to n, which is our number. And then we are going to return this value, and then we are going to use this, call this function like I said here, like this, to store this value inside our fact variable, which we have defined in our main program as well. So this is our complete program. Let me first run this program so that you guys can see how it works. I am going to run this program. So now we see here our message, and then we can enter a integer here, and then we can see we have seen its calculated value, which is 24. And now I can show you the recursive method to calculate the factorial inside this C++ program. So we can exclude just these lines instead of the iterative method. We are going to use now the recursive method. And recursive method, we usually use a formula, and you can check the theory of these things on the internet or in the books. But this is the way we are going to write this code. And now we are going to calculate the factorial again by running this program, build and run this program. So now I can again enter a value, like for example, let's press this negative value, and we are going to see factorial doesn't exist. And now if we are going to run this program again, and we can say the value is like 1, so factorial is going to be 1. So our program is working fine. So this is our complete program in C++ to calculate the factorial. And now we are going to move this to C# language, and we are going to see how we can do the same stuff in C# program. So this is a C# program. This is the library which we are going to use, and we are going to use the functions from this library, and that's why we are giving this library. And so we define our main program always in this class program in C#. That's what we are doing here. And in C# we have to define our functions using the static variable so that we can call them directly like this main program. So in main program we are going to again define two integer variables, and after that we are here saying on the console window we are typing a message, displaying a message, enter an integer. This is way we can display the message onto the console window. After we run the program, we are going to see this message first, and after that we are going to put a value of the integer on the console window. So in order to give our value through the console window, we are using this variable here. So this variable is going to get the value from the console window through this code line. So we are using here the parse function onto the integer, and we are going to read whatever is at the input of our console window, and we are going to read that input. Since that input is going to be of the type the integer, and that's where we are going to use here the integer. And then after that we are going to see the integer if greater than 0 or less than 0. So if it is less than 0, then we are not going to calculate the factorial, and we are going to type this message. In the else condition, we are going to call this function which we have defined outside of the main program, which is going to calculate our factorial again, and we are going to get the value from that function and store it to this variable, and then we are going to display those onto the console window, not only the value but it's calculated factorial as well, like this during this console.write line command. And after that, in order to make our console window stable so that it doesn't vanish, we are going to type this code line. So this is our program, and let me show you the again I have defined the factorial function of type the integer, and it is going to take a parameter of the integer type which is n, and n is going to give the value which we are going to enter to this function so that it can calculate. So we are going to run this for loop again to calculate our factorial. Either we can use this format or we can use this format. They are both going to work same. And after running the for loop, we are going to return this value of factorial back, and then we are going to use this returned value here like I have told you to display that. So this is our complete program. Let's start this program, build this program. So we are going to see this message, and now we are going to type here our any value, like let's type 0. So 0's factorial is 1. So this is the output value. Now this is the iterative method again. And in C sharp also you can on the same pattern use the recursive method as well. So not much difference, just the same procedure. So through the recursion we can include this code line for that. And now we can calculate our factorial again. Now let's build and run this program. So let's see what is the factorial of 7. So this is the factorial of 7. So our program is running fine. So this is pretty much how we can use C++ and C sharp to calculate the factorial. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Have fun.